Welcome on back, folks. It is finally the time to kick off our CEA Spring 2021 season here for Rocket League. My name is Upman, joined here by Dor, and we have a couple of familiar faces on the server to kick off our season.
I can't think of anything better, right? We got a weekend. We're looking at a team that's 1-0 versus a team that's 1-1. And it's some of our favorites coming along. We've got Nadella's Fellas, which you may have known as a different Microsoft team last season, but the well-known, the unforgettable Joe Boogs is playing today, and I feel like we're in for a treat.
Absolutely. And also on the other side is going to be none other than Lyft Pynk, of course, representing Lyft. Also, if there's any sort of micromanaging to be done, welcome on in. This is the Corporate Esports Association, where all the teams, they represent some sort of company or they work for them, and they use this moment to kind of play out recreationally. At the end of the season, prize pool, yes, there is one, but the money ends up getting given to charity, which is great times, folks. We are heading right into the server, right into the map, where again, Nadella's Fellas, aka the team from Microsoft, playing up on the blue side, Lyft Pynk on the orange. It'll be a good game as we're going into a BO5.
Right on in, and honestly, it's the perfect way to start this one off. I'm curious. I'm really curious. We've seen Lyft Pynk, the captain here for this Lyft team, do some really fantastic things. Lance Hunt, another staple member, but there's always some questions. You're heading into a new season. You got some new players on the Microsoft side. They're not fielding their captain currently. They had to take a day off. That is what it is. So Tiny and Rumi will not be on the field. Nonetheless, we know every single one of these Microsoft teams is always a threat.
Absolutely. And already on the front lines, you actually have Lyft Pynk making at least a little bit of space. 30 seconds in, however, a little bit of a clear. That's just a good boop in general coming in from Nadella's Fellas. That does reset a little bit of time and boost for them, but that also gives Lyft Pynk a whole lot of time to develop. As in comes Lance Hunt, but it's a missed shot and a little bit of a clear.
Yeah, back down the field we go. Nadella's Fellas, they've got some good midfield control going on here. Oh no, Ryder's got a beautiful pass, but no one's there to receive. That was a nice little bit of team play they were looking at, though. Okay,
oh yeah, I was about to say Pilots try to fight, but They're actually really good pressure coming in from really just individual players from Nadella's Fellas. They always have some sort of player on that front line. They're playing more of a 2-1 rotation at the moment in terms of attacking formation.
It's worked well for keeping up the pressure, especially when we talk about controlling that midfield, which is something that CEA has been especially prominent for, like right at the skill level that we see here. It's so important for maintaining that ball control and keeping the pressure high. Joe Boogs is going to get a shot for it. Lance on, beautiful save. And just across the goal, the last line of defense to keep him out. And now back to midfield we go. It'll be a touch off the wall, but it's back to Pylos. Lobs one over there. Boogs for the save.
Oh. Joe Boogs, massive work on both sides of the field, but this time it's going to get left over. All players left over in a rotation over in the corner. And just like that, the first goal of the season, it goes over towards Lyft Pynk and Yulia.
It's a good shot. It was a good finish. A good pressure off the back of a fine counter attack from the Lyft Pynk side. And I don't think this is a time that Nadella's Fellas can really get complacent. This is a team that we know to be extremely strong, but same goes for Lyft. To see a battle of these two proverbial titans early on in the season is a little bit odd, but you know, someone's got to go down a match here. And I don't think Lyft have any intention on letting off the gas pedal.
Absolutely not, but in we go again. It's already going to be Lyft Pynk. Already getting themselves another goal, but this time it's a little bit more of a mistake. Joe Boogs, yeah, that's a good area to actually do it, but a lot of people in Rocket League, they'll tell you it's actually more risky than not to actually go for those wall clears, and that's a perfect example as to why.
Yeah, this feels like a little bit of a communication. Getting into the swing of things for Nadella's Fellas. Remember, they are missing 2 of their normal starting players. So, we got to give them a little bit of slack right now. 2 goals is nothing in Rocket League for a team like Microsoft to come back from. And they're proving that right now. Good ball control in the corner, keeping it calm. Pylos with the pressure in the midfield. It's going to put a ball into a shot. Great placement by Lyft Pynk. Slows it down, plays it far corner, just past the goalkeeper. Let's take a look at this one.
That had to be such a quick reaction. Yulia.
Oh,
the fadeaway too. Joe Boogs essentially had to guess where the trajectory of that ball would go. If he had stayed in net, that would have been such a tough save. Good option select from Joe, but even better from Yulia, as I mean, Yulia already has a hat trick, but oh, Joe Boogs Boogs trying to open up the score line right at the halfway point of the game. I'm liking the spunk from Nadella's fellas, but it's not enough to at least open up the score line in their favor.
I mean, if there's ever a player we expect to be a showman, it's Joe Boogs. I think that we can say at the very least. And he'll play one back out towards the side lane. Yulia, captain versus captain, to try and hold this one down. It's K. Up and over to lay up a shot. Can't quite get the double touch, but it's a good idea for him. And with just over half of the match now gone, that 3-goal lead is becoming a little bit more stressful for this Microsoft side to play into.
Just done about the 2-minute mark. Beautiful from K, but Yulia at least getting a wheel on it. See, you still have Pylos as the anchors. Yulia actually misses out on a path, but oh, what a pass from Pylos. That clears it up. And not only that, but Lance Hunt is still around. Kather trying to fight, and Joe Boogs actually gets control of it as Yulia has to go back for boost. Ryder with a beamer, gonna go over towards the wall. Joe Boogs looking for at least the ball to look over towards the middle, but actually double commit might open up the defense just a little bit more. Look at the angle from Joe Boogs.
What a perfectly placed shot. You mentioned Yulia coming in on the wall a little overzealous. Leaves this shot open. Perfectly placed. Bar down. Everything you could want from a shot. It puts them 1 goal closer to coming back, and that kind of puts a hole in the defense that I kind of want to talk about here. It's Yulia. Yulia has been playing fantastically so far. Has been winning 50-50s all over the place. Has been all over the field, but I think you have to be a little bit careful not to get ahead of yourself and start rotating into your teammates. And that's what we saw at that 1 goal, but one more being fired back by the Lyft Pynk side makes him a little bit more comfortable.
You know, I have to agree with you there. Yulia is getting a little bit more confident over towards the midfield area, which is more than fine. But again, that does leave her out with a little bit of space to actually make her way back into the counter-attacking area. So it happens, right? Especially in a game where you're already up a couple of goals. Getting confident isn't exactly a bad thing, right? But with just about a minute left, again, Joe Boogs had to find himself the only opportunity for his team. But for now, it's going to be Yulia once again. Actually, another great angle, too. 4th goal for Yulia, as this one's pretty much done and dusted. Lyft Pynk looking good. Yeah,
and honestly, I gotta say, for as much as we'll criticize Yulia for the last goal, for the over-rotation, every single one of these shots, every single one of these redirects has just been gross, man.
It's almost perfectly in their favor. Again, it's kind of this conundrum with Rocket League where you do have kind of the rebounds in a sense and the deflections, you know, kind of going in more of like a 50-50 or a 60-40 type manner. You know, some days you have good days, some days you don't. And looks like Lyft Pynk, all of those balls are heading right into their way. And, I mean, they're taking it every single time. Love that from Pylos. Love it from Pylos. He didn't even need the deflection opportunity. He didn't even need the rebound. All he needed was a huge gap and a little bit of steez.
Yeah, it was a nice little speed flick as well, just to put that extra pace on the ball to get it past the final defender. Recognize that he was being pincered by 2. 6-1. Lyft couldn't be asking for anything better than this to start off their day. I don't think it gets easier for them, though. I think that's the big thing, right? Nadella's fellas are going to get better with every game because they're not fielding a roster they're used to. The longer they have to get used to that, the longer they have to build up those communication routes, the better off they'll be.
Right, and I mean, kind of commendable for Joe Boogs to actually take on a newer roster like this, but with a company as big as Microsoft, you would think that they could find like another competent team of 3 Rocket League players, and they actually did find one here. You have Ryder and Kather actually both coming in from pretty high ranks, actually, especially Kather being a Season 13 Grand Champion, as the title would say, but also just veterans in general. That's what you love to see about kind of these company tournaments where you never know who you could find. And looks like Lyft Pynk, at least, with a team full of players that have been around the CEA system, they're back in farming.
I mean, we expect them to be here. I mean, Yulia's been doing it for a while. Lance as well, I believe, is on the list. I think this is a full Lyft Pynk just like rerun. They're coming back. I believe they mentioned on their team sheet they went 9-3 last season. They're looking to hit at least top 8 this season, and I think they can get there. I think this was one of the teams that just barely missed out on Division 1 by a hair, and so they want to make that Division 1. They were just on the edge, and so for them, they're looking for that next step up.
So yes, sir. So we're going to be going into our next game very soon. Again, for those wondering, again, welcome on in. It's the new season of the CEA. Again, multiple teams playing out during the regular season. Everything gets split up in two. I can't remember the actual names for it, but it's like a tier 1, tier 2, something like that. And both Nadella's Fellas and Lyft Pynk made it into the tier 1 of play last season just because of their regular season record. So Lyft Pynk and Nadella's Fellas both coming in with a 1-0 record. And honestly, I don't really see any situation where they're not in that top tier scenario. These two teams really got what it takes.
Yeah, I mean, their worst opponents are themselves, and they're getting it over with right now. From here on, it is nothing but profit, baby. But let's take a look at game number 2 and whether or not this Microsoft team can do a little something about the dominance we've seen so far from Lyft Pynk. Julia starting off with the ball out towards center. Back to himself. Boost with a nice intercept. This is a good attacking thought here. Who's out center? Take it. It's going to be far down, but not in. Julia gets the clutch clear here as Joe Booz desperately tries to make something of this attack that's fallen apart.
Yeah, no, great solo play, but even then he found almost the perfect lane for a pass. It was just heavily contested.
Ryder, good ball control here. The counter attack has not stopped. The ball pace has not slowed down at all. Lyft Pynk said, you know what, you got your chance to attack. Now it's ours. It's going to be K, though. Goes for a flick. Good intercept by Lance. Might have just shot it on his own teammate, but Pylos better than the rest. Holds down the goal line, Joe Boogs. Tricky cross, but the goalkeeper dealt with it well. The pressure has just been so high this first 30 seconds, Gus. It's really a question of who gets that first goal, who cracks first.
I mean, considering that both teams are actually playing more of a two-man defense at the moment, it's going to be a little bit tough to really see that crack through, especially after we're so clear away from kickoffs. But that was a great opportunity, just a hard clear, make the players go up in the air, kind of throw off their rotation a little bit. And not only that, but because of your iron anchors, they can go up a little bit. They can feel a little bit more loose. In we go again, though, just about a minute and a half in. Joe Boogs trying to defend away. Yulia is one of the anchors, but Pylos is there too. Again, that's why I love the double coverage over in mid. One player can get a little bit frisky when it comes to actually stopping that midfield play. But then again, you just have someone towards that back end. You have someone there to try to be an insurance policy in a sense. It's more or less working for both sides. But like you mentioned, who's going to get this first goal?
I mean, we're 2 minutes in now. This is further than we went last match with the goal being scored. And with these heavily defensive rotations from both sides, see Lance Hunt and Pylos both holding far back. Joe Boogs and Ryder are locking down the midfield. There is no intent. Oh, no. Oh, you don't want to be hitting that. No. Not quite. K's there just in time. Back down the field we go. You could smell the blood in the water. Lyft Pynk wanted it. And they're not done quite yet. Yulia all the way coast to coast. Not quite. Intercepted by the goalkeeper. Joe Boogs going to need some more boost after that one.
Yeah, Joe Boogs with a lot of desperation plays at the moment, especially that midfield one. I mean, I think that's more of a one and done, but he's doing it all for the team. Again, it's kind of like Yulia over towards that first game where, yeah, it might be a little bit of confidence, but for Joe Boogs, I guess for this team, they need some sort of iron anchor. They need someone to be all around the field, just trying to instigate all of these plays. And Joe Boogs has been the center, has been the heart of all of it.
Back down all the way to 2 minutes without a single goal being scored. I might have spoken too soon. Joe Boogs, the first one to fire back for Microsoft.
And got to give it to Kather too, just trying to get the ball on the wall. And I mean, come on, super well timed. The defender that was both in goal and both trying to cover up back wall, they end up missing out their shots, but good lanes from both with just about 2 minutes left in the game. I mean, this is in stark contrast to the last one. The defense has really tightened up for Nadella's Fellas.
You got to keep it that way, though. The goal's wide open. Joe Boogs looking to extend that lead a little bit more. Gets the ball centered. Kather with a missed Ryder as well. Back downfield. That's all three players committed. Joe Boogs with a clutch black fit, but it's not going to be enough. Yulia all the way down to support the team. Evens up the score.
Yeah, you could see the little, I guess you could say hesitation from Ryder too before even going up for that shot. He was meant to go back on the rotation to, again, because of those mosh pit type situations, the ball is almost always going to end up at around the midfield area. you know, through some factor or another.
Uh-oh.
But just like that, again, I mentioned that these two teams, they have very good development throughout the game, but off of kickoffs, anything can happen, Dora, and we see it again, where this time it's Pylos with an open goal, a little bit faster just to try to beat out Ryder, but it works out in their favor anyways. In a 1-2 punch, it's Lyft Pynk actually with the lead.
Yeah, Nadella's fellas wanted something from that. All three players committed. Kather behind the player going for the ball, as well as going for the boost in the corner. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too, but it ain't happening. Joe Boogs, one more. Gus, this is turning into quite the combination if that was a 1-2 punch.
Oh, absolutely. Both of these teams, I mean, just flailing uppercuts right at each other. A couple of jabs here and there just to try to see what the defense is like. But with just about 1:30 left, a tie ball game, that's what you love to see. It's more drama here in the CEA.
Who's got the next? Who's got more gas in the tank is a big question. Down the line. Look at this Microsoft team. Everything is being committed to the attacking side. Nadella's fellas are in it to win it right now, but they've got to stop the shots. Julia has been good on the redirects. That's not the one they were looking for, though. Kather has an opportunity, but it's Ryder over top. You got to be looking for him. What a well-placed shot towards the near post.
Yeah, in that situation, Pylos, he had all the time in the world, but not too many places to go. Ryder was already kind of ready up in the mid side. Really two players at that point, both Kather and Ryder, and Pylos just had to send it elsewhere. Either he sends it back towards his own defensive side and forces out his teammates that are already low on boost to try to fight that one up, or he tries to clear it out on his own. Again, the option select was a little bit rusty, but it is what it is. Kind of a desperate situation for Pylos.
Now, how do you fire back here as Lyft Pynk? You've got to find that confidence that you had in game one, but it's pretty clear that Nadella's fellas are gearing up. We talked about how much the communication would do. Every game they'd be improving right now, and that's exactly what's happened. Lance Hunt is trying to find something down the field. 45 seconds on the clock. One goal is more than doable here, Gus, but it's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of leaving your defense open.
Yeah, what a big clear again. Just making up space. Joe Boogs sticking up in wing. Ryder again being the anchor of the rotation. Just trying to fight it off. Kather, good redirect that actually leaves Pylos in a really awkward situation. Same thing with Joe Boogs, but still sends it forward. Kather, good bump. Ryder's on the front line. Still trying to anticipate a wing cross, and there it is. Still keeps it up in the air. None other than Joe Boogs ready for it, but he does miss out a little bit. 10 seconds left. We about to hit the buzzer. In we go. Has to be a goal for Lyft Pynk to send it into overtime.
Oh, it's a beautiful cross.
It's an awkward bump. Julia with a shot bottom left, but it doesn't hit. And instead, it scatters away as Nadella's fellas, they inch away with a dub.
Oh, it's everything we could have wanted from game number 2. Lyft Pynk, I mean, every single time they're going forward for the ball. They got aggressive in that final minute, but I love the thoughtfulness of Nadella's fellas to recognize, okay, we're one up. The only thing we have to do is keep this team honest. Every time the ball came to their side, they were lobbing it right back over and just locking it there for a couple seconds. Locking it there for a couple seconds. So that last minute and a half, it might have felt like forever for that team. But they played it safe. They kept their 1-goal lead, and they knew they didn't need anything more to finish it out.
Well, folks, at least at this point, I'm liking what I'm seeing on the server, liking what I'm seeing in the arena, purely because of the fact that we're seeing most of the players that we kind of anticipate to be kind of the impact players are starting to sprout up once again. So lots of high-intensity goals, but I am liking the defensive formation from both of these teams, man.
Yeah, honestly, I'm curious what we come out with here in the next game, right? If that game was all defense and then ending in all the attacking side, I feel like we have to finish somewhere in the middle, right? One of these teams has to find a balance first. But if you ask me, it's on Lyft Pynk to try and fire back after a game like that.
Let's see what happens then. 1-1, but it's a Lyft Pynk on the back foot. Game number 3. Let's see how things roll up from here. I don't really see any linear adjustments that need to be made. Just taking things play by play, goal by goal is really what these players are aiming for.
Yeah, and clearly they like this counter-attacking style as well. So all the pressure that we see Lyft put on is 100% based off the pressure that Microsoft applied to them. The question is, can they take that pressure? The answer is yes for now. It's 0-0. Nice ball down the line. It's a good attempt at a dribble by Julia, but it does get shut right on down towards the midfield. Pylos is going to have a good control here. Lob from downfield. It'll be off the back wall. Is he there for the redirect? No. It's Lance Hunt laying it back out wide. Set up for the rotation, but actually leaves it there for Microsoft, putting Julia Pants in a bit of an awkward situation here. Can't quite get the defense they're looking for, but it will be saved regardless by Lance.
Oh, tough one for Lance, but again, just trying to get a bump forward. Gaither fights, hits the post. That's just one of those nice one-off situations, but Pylos, good usage of the roof. He's getting a cheeky little deflection, almost a chip shot into goal. And now we just see a full breakaway. That might be a little bit awkward for Joe Boogs. Indeed he is. He puts him a little bit too close up towards the net, and the ball goes right past him. So, we're seeing close situations for both teams finally.
Both teams slowing it down. All has come down to the midfield play now. You can tell both teams committed 2 players to just trying to control this one line on the pitch. But it's so difficult to actually get any solid control here. Double commit by the Lyft side. It's not the end of the world, though. They still got a cross going for him. Gaither with a good direct out. 2 players back for Lyft, so fairly conservative play from them. But the counterattack is still going to be deadly as ever. Yulia misses the touch, and that's a critical one, leaving Pylos in goal alone. Gaither with all the patience in the world. What a read there to recognize both the players in an awful position to get that touch. Says, you know what? Just set it up for me, and taps it in.
I mean, I gotta tell you, like a viper in tall grass, Gaither waiting up, slithering, super patient from that midfield area. And it came down to what was just a very awkward situation in the front line where really both teams, they had a chance to just get control of the ball. And Gaither was just like, you know what? Just take this on. If the ball ends up going past me, I end up going back for the rotation. The full team has a full defensive side. If not, Gaither is there for the recollect. So good stuff. 2:50 left in the game, and Nadella's fellas trying to fight this one out of their own defensive side. Joe Boogs, nice little chip. Lance Hunt somehow needs to get there, and that's just stylish.
I mean, the double touch here. Look, taps it up once. How on the? How do you beat Pylos to that? He went up second, got to the ball first. That is ridiculous.
Unreal. 2:45 left in the game. This time it's Nadella's fellas feeling themselves after 2 stellar opportunities. Pylos, decent shot out of deflection, but Ryder was already there. Looking at this next play, Joe Boogs just trying to fight up that midfield rotation. Lance Hunt still fighting. Could be for Pylos. Hits it up back wall, and that's beautiful. Yulia Pynk is there in the perfect position for that redirect off the back wall. Got to give it up to Pylos in optimal position. Joe Boogs had to fight, but he was in a tough spot too. He had to backflip.
I think it just shows how hard it is to score on this Microsoft side, though. Nadella's fellas have been nothing if not defensive so far, and having 3 members back has just been a rough time to play into so far for Lyft Pynk. But they're finding goals anyways, and at 2-1, this game is far from over. Good clear by Joe Boogs. Out wide to Gaither, who... Let's talk about it a little bit, right? We see Ryder and Gaither, 2 players who we don't normally see on the side of Nadella's fellas. They're holding their own. I'm seeing solid stuff from Ryder, and I'm seeing really creative plays from Gaither, especially down the line. If Joe Boogs is being set up by one person, it is Gaither in the midfield. So I honestly think they've slotted into this team particularly well, especially now that we're a couple games in.
Yeah, Gaither being a little bit more freestylish in a sense, being more of a striker, and Ryder just being, again, hard towards the defensive side, hard towards the midfield, trying to instigate plays more than anything. But that's not the point, right? He's very fundamental. He's essentially a player that you can trust in to actually get control of the ball in positions where you absolutely need it. Just in that one position, you would expect just a little bit of a bump towards the wing. Ryder sends it back in such a tight angle, and I don't know what happened there, Dor. That's just a straight up own goal in my book.
It's a perfect redirect. Oh, it's miscommunication, Gus.
Oh, pinball.
Oh, no. That's unfortunate. They can get that back. There's still plenty of time with 1:30, but that doesn't make it feel any better, unfortunately. All right, let's take a look at the kickoff now. Julia's got one back towards center. For Lyft Pynk, I want to see a step on the gas pedal a little bit earlier here. You're down 2 goals. You couldn't manage to find the 1 in 1 minute last time. So clearly it's going to take a lot more than that to try and beat out Nadella's fellas in this round. They've got one down the line. They got the ball control, and their foot is planted firmly on the throats of Lyft Pynk. They are not stopping with these threatening opportunities.
Not at all. Even at this point, they're just looking for a dagger, but still a couple of opportunities. That's a rare sighting. A demo back could be a little bit cheesy if they had actually started to go for it a little bit more towards the defensive side. Yulia just trying to go back into the back pocket. What would be Just a couple of plays to open up that defensive side. Yulia, too, is starting to get a little bit more interactive with that backside, actually being an attacking anchor, which is actually something that we see a lot from teams, just having a singular player up. But Joe Boogs actually setting one up. Kather, yet another shot with a good position from Lance Hunt. In comes the counterattack. Ryder shuts it down in midfield. Kather's going to be there, too, trying to set it towards the back wall. Double commit. Joe Boogs, empty net. And I would be remiss to say that this one isn't it. 4-1 score line. The game is over.
These attacking side rotations have been gorgeous by Nadella's fellas. I want to see it kept up. Kather has been just better and better every single time. Ryder has been a rock for this team. And Joe Boogs, I mean, the man speaks for himself at this point.
Again, love the individualistic stylings of Joe Boogs. Always around, man. I mean, at this point, if he came out with his own like single album or something of the sort, I would definitely take a listen to it. Nice little mixtape, especially with the hoop tape that he's making throughout. Lots of great individual stellar plays. Just like that, it's actually going to be Nadella's fellas creating their own highlight reel.
And putting themselves up to match point. It's best of 5, so we're going to 3. Nadella's fellas have one more to go, and Joe Boogs looking to lead them there. Kather and Ryder along for the proverbial ride, and by God, they're doing it well. Let's talk about what Lyft Pynk, though, can do a little bit better here, because they have started struggling a little bit. And I think a lot of that has to do with they're just not really feeling themselves in the rotations, right? They keep trying to defend this team. The counterattacks aren't quite working as well. It's because they're not really committing to them quite as heavily as they once were. I want to see them be going for 50-50s in the attacking half. Try and shut the ball down and keep a little bit more possession. And I think that goes a long way for them.
Oh, for sure. I think at least with Yulia being the one person to really be on the front end, really interacting with plays, really just trying to open up, would be a couple of kind of stringy shots where you would really have to depend on a hard clear. I think Lyft Pynk would be way better off in actually having a 2-man rotation over in the attacking end instead. Yulia needs a little bit of support, and we know for a fact that really Yulia's teammates can really pull off a couple of plays on their lonesome. Really just needs to trust them at this point.
Trust is a big thing when you're going for attacking side rotations. I think that's something we should highlight. Whenever you're going up, you're saying, you know what, that one person I'm leaving back, they're going to stop the goal. And I think all the players in this lobby are capable of being in that role. It's a tough one. It's one that doesn't always pay off. But when you're playing from behind, you got to find a little magic somewhere.
A little madness, a little spice, and everything nice. Hopefully the boys from Lyft Pynk could potentially get a couple of plays going forward to really say nice. But now Kather on the back lines really just trying to defend out, and there you go. That's the nice thing we wanted, right? Lance just with a bloop, top left corner, and within 20 seconds of the game, we already have a nice play.
That's big stuff. Well placed as well, just over the goalkeeper. Joe Boogs can do anything, and that's the deadly part about those early goals, right? You're lacking the boost to make a lot of those saves, so one well-placed shot could be the end. It's not really about pace whenever you're in the first 5 seconds of a round. It might be now, though, as Kather makes a save, but back out to Pylos. Had that been a shot, that could have been really dangerous coming off of the hood of Pylos. Unfortunately, it won't be. Ball's still good, though. Pressure is still on for this Lyft Pynk side, and this is what we wanted to see when we were talking about earlier. Just control that ball, take some 50-50s in the attacking half, and make them work for the ball possession that they've been living it up with.
We haven't really seen hard control really from both teams. I think we've seen a very even amount of opportunities for both sides where it's just been kind of a back and forth. And oh boy, again, speaking of back and forth, Pylos with his own opportunity, something that hasn't really been seen in a while, but a little bit open goal, hits up against the nets. It's essentially open net for any player that wants to go get it. But again, that front side rotation, it does get broken up by the defense. Just good stuff trying to recollect after that bobble. But yet another opportunity now with just about 3:40 left. Lance Hunt trying to send it forward. Joe Boogs still away, but Pylos is there. A little bit weaker, but I say weaker purely because it was a pass. This time, however, you still have Yulia fighting, and Joe Boogs sends it away. Good stuff.
Slowing thing down just a little bit, but that's before all the action starts. It's the calm before the storm gust. And Pylos is taking a sweet time. All the way down line. Up the wall, pass to one defender left to go. Goes for the bump!
Nice
what a
angle.
beautiful bit of team play by the Lyft Pynk side.
Unreal. Pylos not only gets the picture perfect pass, but goes for the body block onto Kather. That's a multifaceted talent if I've ever seen one. That is just wonderful.
I mean, having the forethought to just back away from the ball and say, you know what, my teammates got this, put some trust in Yulia. That's what we were talking about. They've got the skills. They've got everything they need. The shot's dangerous, but there's 3 players back, so it's not the end of the world for them quite yet. It's going to take a little bit of Joe Boog's magic to get that ball centered to Kather, who puts the score back to 1 apart.
Who else but Joe Boogs to make an opportunity in that front line happen? Pylos tries to clear Kather. Is there immediately to shut down the clear with, so, I mean, a 2-1 scoreline. I mean, we keep saying that anything is possible in Rocket League, even with a 2-0 or 3-0 scoreline, but long gone are the days of game 1 where we see a wide lead, really no development being made on the front end, and this time it's just the boys of Nadella's fellows trying to make their own opportunities. But however, speaking of opportunities being made, I like this new aggressive play coming out from Lyft Pynk. A couple of demos, a couple of bumps here and back. It's just a new factor to worry about if you're on the side of Microsoft.
Hey, sometimes you gotta play a little bit dirty. Oh god, this is a free goal. Pylos, you can't screw this one up.
Free. That's wonderful. He already has an assist under 2. Goal now for Pylos. And yeah, no, that's as easy as you can get.
There's a decent chance we might go to 5 here, guys, but 2-21, not quite time to be calling or counting out Nadella's fellows. Let's see them get a little creative. I want to see demos out of their side, man. Let's see them fire back against Lyft Pynk. They started playing a little dirty, a little bit rough, a little bit of hardball. What do you have for us, Microsoft? It's Ryder. Play the ball. Lance Hunt just controlling it for right now. The boost control has been decent, but that boost in the corner stays there the entire time. It's allowing Lyft Pynk to fight their way out of these, to get these counterattacks. They can only pull them off because they have the boost to do it. And Pylos, what a bit of trickery. Gets the ball past him, but there's nobody center for it, unfortunately. What a sick play, but unfortunately it didn't pan out.
Holy, do a flip. Indeed, he does one. Made play at that, but even then, still a little bit of an opportunity. 140 left. Joe Boogs has to send it back, but Pylo's still pressuring. He wanted to cover up the shot back from Joe Boogs, but instead he just maintained control on this blue side, chunking off time off the clock door.
I mean, this is exactly like we saw out of Microsoft when they won their first game. It slowed things down, play your defensive rotations. 2 goals is more than enough to win a game of Rocket League if you can control the pitch effectively. Joe Boogs is trying to create some sort of hole in the defense, but there is nothing here. It is a suit of armor laid flat over the entire side of this field. They are not letting anything through without the explicit permission of Lyft management, and it's not going anywhere.
Super, super close. Kather trying to make his own space over on the front end with a demo actually on the defensive side. Ryder is starting to get a lot more proactive in terms of just keeping that ball over towards the orange side, but still nothing of the sort really going down. So Kather now send it forward. Ryder going up for the attack instead. They've switched up the formation at least mid-play. It's Joe Boogs now on the defensive side, where again, it's not exactly optimal. And Yulia sends it forward. Lance Hunt can't get it in. Rotation back, 2 players down. Ryder has to find a pass, but can't find anything. Joe Boogs does get the deflection back. Kather needs it to give them a chance, but with 20 seconds left, no goal back. Pylo's back in net, sends it away. Ryder, good pass. Oh, Joe Boogs, perfect position. 16 seconds left, or we got a ball game. 1 goal separating the 2.
Nadellas were out of boost. They were out of position. It was 3 men up. Everything was being thrown into that attack. They knew where they needed to put their resources. 16 seconds on the clock, Gus. This is not an easy goal to have, but it's possible.
It's possible if they can get control off the kickoff, and indeed they do. Kather up. Oh, it's a mosh pit. So many players committed. Ryder sends it up. Yulia chunking time off the clock with yet another bloop. Ryder sends it down. Ball hits the ground. We got a game 5.
Oh, we're going the whole way, Gus. Oh my God. Pylos was a monster in that game. 4 shots, ripping it one end of the field to the other, despite the best efforts of Nadella's fellas. And I'm going to be honest, I think that one came down to just a pep talk that we saw after the last game. They took every second they could get waiting for the next match, waiting for the next game. Just it's a minute of waiting time in between the lobbies, but it really does mean a lot. And you could see specifically the Lyft Pynk side refusing to ready up just so they could get that pep talk and get, you know what, how are we doing this? How are we doing this? What are we changing about our rotations? And you can see Yulia Pants actually takes a little bit more of a back seat now with how they've started playing. The rotations look better, the teamwork looks cleaner, and it's looking good on this Lyft side.
Yeah, I do like at least the sprouting up more of Pylos throughout the field. I mean, Pylos was at least very, very shaky in a sense in terms of his own opportunities throughout the first couple of games, but this is really the game where finally he started sprouting out and really coming out in the zone.
Yeah, alongside Pylos, we saw the resurrection of the demo meta, which is surprisingly not been here this season. We've seen 2 matches so far, and very few demolitions. I'm glad to see Lyft kind of standing up for it a little bit. I miss it. I miss cars blowing up all over the place, guys. But let's take a look at this explosive game number 5. Someone is losing a game today.
Again, both teams, this is only their 2nd game of the season. And like I mentioned before, both of these teams have a very, very striking chance to actually get their way into a tier 1 position at the end of the season to make their way directly into the championship playoffs. But again, a game like this is really going to separate yourself and the other field of teams in terms of what would be seeding, in terms of goal differential. But with this going to a game 5 shouldn't affect them too much other than a win or a loss on the tally.
Slow start for the game, but both the teams just pedal to the metal. Nothing but pressure.
Ooh.
This goes down to like it was in Game 3, Game 2. The first goal is going to demand so much respect. It decides who is playing from a front, who's playing from behind, and what a cross, what a passing play. Lance Hunt with perfect position as well. I mean, this is as fast as you could want to cross. There is no reacting to this shot.
No, so listen to this. Yulia has had this ball for the past like 15 seconds essentially. Collected it over in the back, had to bobble it right back, right past 2 opponents over in the backside. A little bit off speed too. Develops all the way over towards the defensive side, and Yulia somehow able to have enough boost, able to have enough momentum to actually get that ball forward. Yulia, an unbelievable individual effort, and you're already seeing that momentum going back for the entire team now. But now they're just hype.
Yeah, the train doesn't stop here either. They're keeping the pressure on. Look at these 50-50s in midfield in the attacking cap. So much more confident than we've seen them in games prior. The shot towards their own net would give them a little bit of a gut check for the time being, but right now we're just playing ping pong, one end of the field to the other. Counterattack after counterattack. A dangerous rager towards the near post is not going to find much success, but it does create an attacking opportunity here for the Microsoft side.
Looped up Pylos.
Oh, there it is.
Can't get a wheel on it, and there it is. Demo in the back. Ryder makes him some space, and Ryder gets the goal in. You say the demo meta, right? It comes up big. I can't believe it's going to be situations like that that's actually going to give a team an opportunity like it, but anything's possible. Anything needs to happen if you're on the side of Nadella's fellas, because you give Lyft Pynk that little bit of momentum. We had already seen it. They already get themselves the first goal. They build up the momentum. They immediately get themselves a lead going into the halfway point of the game. And, well, just like that, I think that one's just a one-off, right? I was feeling the energy from both of these teams, but instead, Lyft Pynk, they find a massive opportunity in what was a little bit scrappier of an attack. Almost a triple commit there from Nadella's fellas.
Oh, I mean, there's nothing of close to a triple commit. That was a full 3 men being thrown at the ball and seeing what happens. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off. And I think it comes more so down to overconfidence than anything. You get that 1 goal, everyone's feeling the game 5 hype, but it's going to cost you. Try and even things up. Cather's there, 2-2. They'd like to be up that goal, but they're more than happy to tie things here.
Oh, gotta pay attention to still opening up that defensive end, trying to find a bump, and it's now become another aspect for some of these teams to look out for, another threat that you always have to be looking out for, and that might change up your movement in some senses.
Bit of a shift in tone right now as both these teams realize that they can't just attack. They've got to have a little bit of reservation when they're going forward. They've both been punished for it now. The exceptional shots of Nadella's fellows up against the counterattacks of Lyft Pynk has been a matchup for the ages so far. But only one will come out on top. And at 2-2 halfway through the game, Pulling ahead is everything. We know both of these teams also can play very defensively when needed to. They understand that with a minute and a half left, they can both win a game with just a 1-goal lead. They both know how to hold on. It's just about getting that far.
Ooh, Pylos, an opportunity to clear. This time it's actually Lance Hunt. Good stuff from Kather, just keeping that up in the wing, but it's a little bit too far away off of back wall. Not exactly safe. Ball bumped forward though. Yulia has to get it forward. Kather up past the Joe Boogs. Boogs! Perfect position off the counterattack. I mean, he's just slithering again off the wing, waiting for that clear to happen. He has trust in his teammates to clear it out. And indeed, perfect position, perfect strike. 3-2. Nadella's fellas now with the lead.
Look, man, I know that a goal was borderline open, but that does not make that any easier of a redirect. Off the hood of the car, no less. The 1 goal they needed, the 1 player we expect to do it. Set up perfectly now. Ryder's looking for more. Nadella's fellas can smell the victory. It's so close to them. Somebody ring the dinner bell because they want to eat right now. Kather's got one. The pressure's still on. They can't quite breathe yet. Down the corner we go. Lyft Pynk up for the shot. It's Kather. This is dangerous.
Oh, no. No way. That ball's going to go indoor.
I mean, it's a mistouch by Kather. That's the nerves coming at you. You could tell. I think it was a little bit of a failed double jump. Didn't get to lean back before pressing the second jump to get up to the ball in time. And it's something that everyone has down to a science at this point. It's basically muscle memory for these players. But when the palms are sweaty, when the fingers are slipping, and when the time comes, you slip up just a little bit more, and you get 2 scored on you. The game's turned around.
Unreal. Joe Boogs again. This time you got to give it up to Kather. Keeping the ball center off of the kickoff, and Joe Boogs, I mean, he was ready for it. You could tell that that was communicated right off the rip, where again, it's just like, all right, this kickoff is gonna stay center. I'm gonna fight for it. And that time it's the same thing where Joe Boogs keeps it center.
What a redirect.
There, double bump from Ryder, but he misses out on the double. But 1 minute left. Nadella's fellas, they're starting to heat up a little bit. It's still a lot more work to be done. It's not a cushion. It's not something to be comfortable with. But now they have the opportunity to put in a dagger if they want to.
Double commit, leaves the goal open. Lance Hunt, he's got the shot. Boogs down to Kather. Balls up. The rotations here are falling apart for Microsoft. 2 committed forward. Kather, the 1-man back right now. Yulia, a little bit of ball control, a little bit of slowing it down. Tries for the pinch, but it lands the ball back towards their net. Kather can't make anything of it, but it takes time off the clock.
A good hustle from Pylos, but still sent up by Lance Hunt. Pylos gonna hit up back wall. Never mind, Yulia just going for the dagger instead. Pylos goes for it again. Lance Hunt has to defend. He takes it a little bit slower, but that's actually gonna give Ryder a little bit better of an opportunity. A little bit of an awkward bump though. Awkward position. Lance Hunt sending it in. Joe Boogs sends it away. 7 seconds left.
This could be it.
Chugging time of the clock. 4-3. Ball might hit the floor. Pylos sends it up.
Kather's not touching it.
The game is over. Nadella's fellas, they inch it out at the very end of things, but both teams had their opportunities at the end there.
All the way to 5. Well fought by both sides, but Lyft Pynk,
Wow.
I'm sorry. You gotta take the loss. Nadella's fellas, my hat's off after a rough game 1. Every single time they managed to come back, Kather and Ryder just kept getting better, and Joe Boogs gave us the product we expect.
It's where we expect him to shine the most, right? Because we saw that a lot in the last season that we were able to spectate and commentate, where it was really Joe Boogs, one of the better players coming out from the Microsoft camp, and being more of a, I'm not even going to say freestyler, still very much a pivotal player in his own right, very clutch. And thankfully we saw it again. This time it's going to go over towards the side of Nadella's fellas. It was essentially a coin flip. It could go either way any other day, and if you're Lyft Pynk, you can't really look down on this loss by any means.
Oh no, and there's more Rocket League to come. Don't you guys be worried too much. Right after this, we've got one more game of CEA RL, and you guys won't want to miss it.